Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering a new show that just debuted on CBS called Beyond the Gates. Now, Beyond the Gates is a soap opera that I have never really covered a soap opera to this magnitude, but I was proud when I heard that this was going to be released. It's a predominantly black soap opera. And guess what? These folks are rich and they're messy. So let's get into all of it. Okay, so as I did say that I am proud that this is coming out, especially in a time where soap operas are a dying genre. Right now, there are 3 soap operas still on network TV. And that is The Young and the Restless, and Bold and the Beautiful on CBS, and General Hospital, that's on ABC. General Hospital has been alone for quite some years now. That was like 2011, 2012, when the other sister shows, All My Children and One Life to Live, they were canceled. They did try to save those particular 2 shows and tried to do online soap somewhat similar to web series. They didn't work out. I think that they were canceled within a year. So we also have Days of Our Lives, which probably about 3 to 4 years now has been streaming on the Peacock network solely instead of just on NBC. NBC decided to cancel it. But it's all about, I think, money and what it takes to actually run a soap opera. A soap opera does cost a lot of money, and if you want it really good and you want to do extra things like different sceneries and stuff like that, it does cost money. And soaps aren't generating the same wealth as they did back in the 80s. I mean, that was the golden era for soap operas. 90s did have part of the residue. Then by the 2000s, it started dwindling out. In the 2000s, especially the mid 2000s, that's when reality TV was more front and center. And the door that was open for reality TV was right at the 2008 writers' strike. At that point, nobody could really write anything, actors and all that, so reality TV came in and hit it out the ballpark. We know that the Real Housewives of everything of Bravo really skyrocketed, became popular. Other shows on VH1, we know Basketball Wives, Love and Hip Hop soon followed. Other celebrities had their own special shows and things of that nature. It was a really big hit. So where does soap operas go from there, or from this place on? Soap operas have been hanging on, but all I know is I've commented on some soap opera stuff, and I wish I hadn't, because I'm kind of in this algorithm on social media, and a lot of people aren't too happy with how storylines and stories are told, basically. Now, Days of Our Lives, I would say, has been given the short end of the stick, meaning this: even while they were still on NBC, like Days of Our Lives they had to be renewed every year. Like, you always had to wonder, is the show going to be coming back or not? Because that was the last show that was on NBC for a long time, as far as soap operas. At this point, there's no soap operas on NBC. Anyways, so we know that at least with not the current head writer that was on, Ron Carvallati, who was previously on One Life to Live. He was one of the head writers there. He was just dismissed. But he came in about 2017, and it was the first time that Days of Our Lives was getting a 2-year renewal. So he did pump a resurgence into Days of Our Lives. At this point, people aren't really feeling him and the writing he's doing. Probably he's just burnt out. What 6, 7 years of writing a soap, and then all the restrictions. He said only I forgot how many number of people can be on set 4 days time, so he has to figure out stories. I mean, budget is just so crazy. They only have a few places for weddings. That's why you only see a few people. You know, it's a lot of that stuff. I'm kind of yammering on, but just to give you the gist of what has been going on, I'm a soap opera fan. I haven't been watching for a while because I don't have time. However, my soap opera journey started back before I was a teenager. Now, I knew about some soap operas because my mom would watch them, but I didn't care back then. I do understand about Luke and Laura on General Hospital. I know about Victor Newman. I know about Cricket, Kate Chancellor, and possibly Nikki, I remember. and Adam Chandler and Erica Kane on All My Children. Now, my personal awakening is Days of Our Lives. And if I'm going to watch a show, it's going to be Days of Our Lives. Anyways, I started with them back in 1995 when Marlena was first possessed by the devil. I was so intrigued to find out how this woman is speaking in a man's voice and her eyes were white. I had to get into all that drama and see how that unfolded, and I fell in love with the show. I fell in love with the subplots that were hanging around because the possession was the biggest story that summer. Well, that 95 part of the first part of the year, and then soon other stories were going to take full course after the possession storyline was over. Austin and Carrie were getting married, and then Sammy came in and announced that she was pregnant. We wanted to find out what was going on there. Is Gina Hope? That came into fruition. Then it was soon Aramid. I just fell in love. After that, since Another World came on right after Days of Our Lives, I watched it. And I loved it. When I started watching them, Justine, who was a doppelganger for Rachel Corey Hutchins on the show, who was Grant and Ryan's mother. I started watching then and fell in love with that show. I think in early 96, like on spring break or something, that's when I started watching All My Children on my own. This is when Noah and Julia were very popular. Noah was on the run, and him and Julia, they went to somewhere tropical. I want to say Jamaica, but I don't think it was that. It was some other place. Haley and Mateo, they were chasing down, trying to help to make sure that Noah and Julia aren't caught. The bad cop, Taylor, was chasing them and all that good stuff. Erica was addicted to pain pills. And under the care of Dr. Jonathan Kinder, Janet Green. What else was going on? They had a homophobic storyline happening. Tad and Liza having an affair. Yeah, so I started watching then. And possibly it was General Hospital next. But the scene that I remember that introduced me to General Hospital was when Lily was unalived in that car bomb. It was, what was also going on was simultaneously a scene with Brenda marrying Jax. And we know that Sonny and Brenda, they are soulmates. If ever Vanessa Marcel ever comes back to television or to General Hospital, it's over for everybody. There's no other couple but them. That's it. So yeah, that introduced me to them, and then the Cassadines, they came in. At some point, I started. I watched Young and the Restless. I think next. I remember that Nicholas Newman was in jail for the unaliving of his old friend Matt, which he was framed for. I remember him getting out, and then him and Sharon got married. Nikki never liked her. I remember Jill and John fighting over custody of little Billy at the time. Nikki was engaged to Brad Carlton. Victor got shot, and then it was whodunit type of situation. Did I say Vicky or Victor? Victor. I was around the time where Victoria was married to Cole, and Ryan was married to Nina. Vicky was still in love with her ex-husband Ryan, and Cole was more interested in Nina because those type of personalities mesh. Ashley Abbott was kind of a filler person that people would just come to the Jabot lab to just vent. She wasn't doing anything really. It was good stuff back then. I'm trying to go on because I've been talking way too long. I'm not going to be before you much longer. I'm just going to introduce you to the cast, and we get into it on next week. Anyways, Guiding Light. I watched them, the Spaldings, Alan Spalding, Harley, and Philip Spalding. They were together. Then his ex-wife came in, Beth. So I loved Dinah and Hart. And then Cassie came along, and Matt and Vanessa, Blake and Ross, Reva and Bud, Josh and Annie, whom I love. As the World Turns, Lily and Holden, Molly soon came in. Emily, I remember the Who Shot Diego storyline. Lucinda Walsh, Carly Tenney, and Jack. So many others. Hal, all of them. Buzz, but I think he was on Guiding Light. Jenna on Guiding Light. One Life to Live, all of them. Blair, Kelly, Vicky, the first Christian Vega, Antonio and Andy, Patrick and Marty and Dylan, all of them. So I love soaps. And y'all can fast forward through all of this. I do apologize. Just to let you know. So, anyways, Beyond the Gates, created by Michelle Valjean. Michelle, she started out on Generations, which was the first black, multi-generational, predominant show that featured more black people. All soaps that we've known since 1939, which I think that's when Guiding Light debuted on radio, have all been led by white people, white couples, white families. And black people have been secondary. I think the only soap that has tried their best to have the best representation of other races and cultures is The Young and the Restless. We had Neil Winters. We had Drusilla, Olivia, Nathan Hastings. That didn't come until like the late 80s, until the 90s. Malcolm Winters. You know, now Lily Winters. His brother now that's on there. You know, they probably did do that the most. Black people with the help. Or you could be a police officer, but you would never be in the main storyline. On Days of Our Lives, there weren't any really black people. The most famous or the most recognized is Valerie Grant. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, she was on in an interracial coupling situation. Lexi Carver and Abe. Abe had been on since, the early 1980s, and he did not really get a front storyline until the 2000s with his wife. I thought that was just so crazy. He left. I forgot his name. He left because he was tired of not having any really storyline. And he went to Generations. He came back, and they promised him that he would have a good storyline. But whatever. Anyways, she wrote there. Then she moved on to General Hospital. Michelle wrote there from 1993 until into the mid 2000s somewhere. So she's infamous for those stories that were going on in the 90s. 92 was like a regeneration for General Hospital. Of course, the 80s were very great to General Hospital with the infamous superpower couple of Luke and Laura. That was late 70s, early into the 80s, and the Cassadines and all that good stuff. So she was there through it all. The Quartermains, Jason Quartermain into Jason Morgan, all that good stuff. She was there. So now that she's also written for The Bold and the Beautiful. How this soap came about is from Sheila Ducksworth. She received a partnership with the NAACP. She was affiliated with NBC at the time, back in the 2020s when there was a partnership with NAACP, and she wanted to create a soap. She was talking with Vivica A. Fox, who was on Generations, that connected her to Michelle Valjean. And from there, this was a creation of Beyond the Gates. And Michelle's vision, and also Sheila, is to have a black forefront family or actors, a predominantly acting show for soap opera. And they're doing that. So I have to say congratulations to you, Miss Michelle Valjean, and to Sheila Ducksworth. They even got Procter & Gamble to back them. Now, Procter & Gamble was very heavy, especially in the 70s and 80s and 90s, for soap operas, specifically like for Guiding Light, As the World Turns, Another World, and other shows back in the day. Oh, I watched Sunset Beach and also Passions. You know, Passions was crazy. And I watched Port Charles, even that after shift show that they had, you know. Anyway, so yeah, so she wrote for all of these shows. I knew about Michelle Valjean from General Hospital. Outside of doing this and my regular job, I do write. I'm a writer, so I'm accustomed to a lot of writing. So the people that are on staff at Beyond the Gates is Sheila, of course, Michelle Valjean, she's the head writer and showrunner. Robert Guzza Jr. Now, Robert Guzza Jr. is infamous of being on General Hospital. He was there in the 90s with all those good stories when Stone contracted AIDS, the AIDS virus, Robin getting HIV, Jason Quartermain, all that good stuff. Carly Roberts and all that good stuff, you know. Julie Carruthers, I recognize her name and I know her from All My Children. Now for the rest of the writers, Leon W. Russell, Derek Johnson, Kimberly Dobereiner, and Anna Feld. You know, I just wanted to recognize the writers. Okay, so now we're going to go into the show. I do apologize. But the show is based around Vernon and Anita Dupree. They are the patriarch and matriarch of their Dupree family. They reside in Maryland, within the metropolitan area. Vernon's father developed this subdivision called Falcon Crest, and just basically they're the HIBs in town. You know, people look up to them, and people revere them and respect them, and that's just it. The Dupree name is known throughout government and through all of the DMV area. So Vernon, he was on the front lines of the civil rights movement and also a former senator. He's retired now. Anita, his wife, who was a singer turned actress. She's an EGOT winner. I think that is so great. Miss Michelle did say that she wanted a Diana Ross type character on the show, and Anita is that. They had two daughters, Dr. Nicole Dupree Robinson and Danny Dupree. Nicole is married to Ted Robinson. Nicole is a psychiatrist in her own right. She's a doctor. And then also Dr. Ted Robinson, he is a surgeon that I believe is a plastic surgeon, from what I was told, from what I remember. But at least he's a surgeon. Danny, she is newly divorced from Bill. Bill is the villain of the show. Let's just put it like that. And I'll get to that in just a second. Dr. Nicole have two children, Catherine, aka Cat, and Martin. Martin, he's taken after Vernon, and he is a congressman, or at least he's one of the House of Representatives. He has this burden on him that's not a burden. He wants to follow in the footsteps and do everything that Vernon says. And at the same time, that as to what he's achieving, even in Congress, in the House of Representatives, he's wanting more. We don't know what that more is, but from the synopsis of everything, it looks like Martin is going to pursue after the presidency. Kat, she is kind of what I see her to be, is like this brand manager, marketing manager type of person, and she's helping out one of her cousins, one of Danny's children. Now we're going to get to Danny. Well, let me go back to Martin. Now Martin, he's married and he's gay. They put him with a white man. They call him Smitty I think his real name is it Ben or Paul, whichever one it is. Now I'm used to him being on Days of Our Lives. That's where I first know him to be on. Now Dr. Nicole, she has been on Passions. Her name was Valerie, and then they ended up turning her character into is it an Aphrodite? Where basically she was a woman and a man due to her mother who abused alcohol during the pregnancy. It was quite crazy. So but the same person, Valerie was dating Chad at the time, and then it turned out that Chad was gay and was dating the male side of. It was weird. Then she turned around and went to One Life to Live, and she played Nora Buchanan's daughter. And I can't remember her name right now, but she went to jail back in the late 90s for shooting someone, unaliving someone. But anyways, I know about her. Danny, she has been on The Bold and Beautiful, and she was on Guiding Light. I knew her from both. I think she had a great run on Bold and the Beautiful. She was married to Rick Forrester, and we found out that her character was trans, meaning that she was a man beforehand, even though she delivered a child. It is weird. She delivered a child when she first came on the show. We found out about that. But then all of a sudden she became a transsexual when her family came up. It was crazy. But anyways, I didn't really recognize Tamara Tooney, who I remember from Guiding Light, and I remember seeing her on Law and Order SVU. And our guy Vernon, he is so famous from the television show Amen. If you're into any spiritual programming, Davis. He was big on there. All that good stuff. He wrote the song for the Jackson 5. Never can say goodbye. No. That song. All that good stuff. So, Bill, okay, so we know him from the show on the OWN network, where he was Cheetah there too. It was the same show that Coffee was on. But anyway, he was a cheater over there too. So, Bill cheated And he finally wanted to get a divorce because he fell in love. But guess who he fell in love with? This girl named Haley. Haley, whom the family took in, who was best friends with Naomi. So Bill got a young thing, and right under Danny's nose had an affair. So it took 6 months for Danny and Bill, to get a divorce. And then right as soon as the ink was on the paper and didn't even dry, Bill announced that he and Haley are getting married. At the beginning of this show, as the airing, we find out that Bill and Haley have bought a house within the Falcon Crest neighborhood. Danny is pissed because, hey, look, this is what is ours, and you can't do anything else. You can't go somewhere else. You just want to flaunt this in my face. And that is part of our anger. I think, to me, Danny's character is built upon Betty Broderick. Look, I've watched this story so many times on Lifetime. They even did a retelling of the story on Netflix with a Dear John series of the Betty Broderick story with her husband, where he wants a divorce and he's got a new young thing, and she just kind of loses it. I think she's up for parole. She's been in jail for over 20-something years. I don't know if she got out yet. This is a real story. But it's kind of going that route so far. So, anyways. But yeah, Haley, you trifling. Because they basically just let the family in their home, and the family effed Danny's husband. Crazy! Woo! So I know people are upset. I think that the Dupree family is kind of a little bit calm for me. Now, from a reputation standpoint, they've dismissed her and Bill. Bill's able to finagle his way throughout the community and amongst the who's of whom of the Falcon Crest area because of his line of work. He is a lawyer, but he uses his connections, he uses what he knows about people to get what he wants. Sometimes he will do a case pro bono and use the offense against them later on. That's how slick and slimy he is. So there's a wedding that's coming up, and we'll get to that in just a minute. Now, on the other side of town, Dr. Nicole and Ted, they seem like the perfect couple. Danny has a little bit, I don't know if it's jealousy, but it's kind of like, oh, well, your marriage is perfect, da-da-da-da-da. I like Nicole because she's a truth teller. And I think she's patient with Danny, at the same time giving her the hard facts and truth. Like, lady, you're trying to wallow in this divorce and you need to move on. He's moved on, ain't nothing getting any better for you. Swallowing in this mess. Anita does that for her too. The one person that can really get and tug at Danny's heart is Mr. Vernon. And I think that he has that effect on people, and I think that's how he's been able to be a success in the civil rights movement and with the senators. There's a scene where Vernon and Martin are at a local diner, and one person came and thanked him for all the work that he's done and the service that he's done. So he's a people's person, and I think that if anyone's able to be a piece for Danny, it's Mr. Vernon. So anyways, over there it seems picture perfect. We have some more characters on the show. Her name is Dana, aka Leslie Thomas. We get our first look when Dr. Ted is at the hospital. There's other characters that we'll talk about in just a second, because there's a new nurse. Her name is Ashley. She's starting, and she's kind of flip-floppy of if she really should be doing nursing or not, because she doesn't feel confident as of yet. Her mom and Dana, Leslie, and her daughter Eva are encouraging her. No, this is you. This is your time. Blah 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 blah. So go on and live in it and do what you need to do as far as just being a successful nurse. Anyways, while there, Dr. Ted is around at the office, and I think Leslie was about to leave, and we see that this long stare is at Dr. Ted. And we're looking like, what is this all about? And we're soon going to find out what's happening there. Because everything that seems perfect, a picture perfect in a soap opera world, there has to be something that we're not seeing as of yet that has to be unfolded. All right, so let's move on to more of the children. Let's go back to Danny and Bill's children. Naomi is the eldest, and she's married to Jacob. Jacob is a cop, and they make sure that they get it in. We need that in a soap opera. So, and I already said that Naomi is a lawyer. Her sister Chelsea is a model. We find out that Danny is a former model that married Bill when she got pregnant with Naomi, gave up all her dreams and decided to be Bill's wife. She set him up with the connections that he needed, and to me it looks like when he got all that he needed from her, got someone new and dumped her. At this point, it looks like Danny is living vicariously through her daughter Chelsea's life. Chelsea is wanting to give up modeling, but she doesn't want to hurt Danny at the same time because she sees how much Danny is suffering. Danny is a momager. Not living up to Kris Jenner as far as momager because her head is not on straight at this moment. But anyways, she's ready to become an influencer, meaning she wants to sell, she's crafted her own handbags and all that good stuff that she wants to do on her own and leave the modeling world alone. She doesn't know how her mom's going to take that, but she wants to do something on her own, and she has her cousin, Kat, aka Catherine, helping her launch this off. How they feel about their father, Naomi and Chelsea. Naomi is more fiery about it. Chelsea is has a little bit more heart. However, she does not like what has happened. But I think she's more in support of her mom over his dad. Now, Naomi at this point has refused to call him dad and is now Bill. Hey, that's just how it is, and that's how everyone does react differently to a divorce. And the way that you did it. And I know it's got to be hard. Haley is delusional. And she's just trifling to me. I'm just trying to get a good feel on her because she's coming off as, look, I still want to be accepted, you know. I want to be a part of this high-class society, and I'm Bill's wife, or soon-to-be wife, and can't I just offer you these cookies as an olive branch, and we can just move on? And Danny's like, H no. The first episode, she punches out Danny, especially when she finds out that Bill and Haley have purchased a home within Falcon Crest. We also get a scene from, if you watch The Real Housewives of Potomac, Karen Huger. If you're a fan of hers, that's y'all choice. But anyway, she was on there. But I don't blame Danny for doing that. And now this girl wants redemption. I think people have asked, you know, who's your favorite character? I don't have a favorite character yet. Even though Bill is being Bill and Haley is Haley, I just need to see the next thing because, well, Bill is being mean, but he's not a I love to hate you type of character, and I don't really know what to do with the character because he hasn't been as diabolical as I need him to be to put him in a certain category that I want to see him in. Like, I need to see a J.R. Ewing type of thing, you know, in my opinion. And Haley is not coming off as the bitch that I need her to be. It's just like, you know, can we just be friends? Can we still be family? Like, that's some real delusional-ish, if I've never seen it. Let's see. Martin is gay, and he's married. He's been married for many years. He adopted children when they were young. They adopted children, a boy and a girl. The husband, who is white. So we got an interracial couple. The only thing is that I would really like to see a black gay couple thrive. It's always got to be some type of interracial stuff, if anything's going to make it. I mean, Hollywood. I mean, he is a senator, and he probably will have better reception if he does have a white partner, but at the same time, it's like, can we get something? However, we're going to go with the storyline. Smitty, he was a former reporter. When the children came along, they decided what was best is that Smitty be the house husband for the home. He took care of home. He took care of the children mostly. Very sensitive to the children. Notices when things are up and all that. So I am glad that this is not the black person in that role of the home. Not that anything is wrong with that, but a lot of times, especially on shows, the black person has to be the submitted, non-authoritative type of person in that role, if you get what I'm saying. So that was cool. Now, they said in the bio for Kat that she was supposed to be the spoiled person that doesn't like to share, which I haven't seen that come out of her yet. She meets this guy named Tom on the last episode. We're going to get into that in just a few minutes. but I'm not understanding what they were. How is that? But whatever. Ted has a nephew that is in town. He's kind of a drifter, discovering the world. His parents passed away after a plane crash, and he inherited a lot of money. Nicole and Ted, they took him under his wings. Now it's known around the vicinity that Andre is a player. Andre has an attraction to Ashley, the nurse. Ashley is involved with Derek. He's a firefighter. There was I guess at some point, Andre was crushing on Ashley, but he was too subtle with it. So at the same time as he was low-key pursuing Ashley, she chose Derek because Derek stood up. Andre still wants a chance, but she's basically saying no. The new head nurse is training her, said, look, he's community D, leave him alone. But I'm sure that Ashley is going to want to have a taste, just like Jeannie Mae Jenkins did. If y'all know who that is from The Real. I shouldn't laugh because I didn't like what happened to her with this whole Jeezy thing, but we'd be here all day if I start talking about them. Anyway. So, Andre is doing his photo shoot for Chelsea. Danny's there being momature, but being very rigid, and it's really messing up the photo shoot. Andre was the one to get Danny to calm down and all that good stuff, and things were a little bit better. They ended up hooking up. And I said, that's what you need, Danny. Danny enjoyed the experience. However, something that happened later on that made me go, huh? The day of the wedding, because Bill and Haley were getting married on episode 5, Danny goes to Bill and begs him to come back to her and leave Haley. I said, you really want this? Danny. And then we found out that Bill had affairs. She just said this one stung a little bit more. It was out in the public. He was able to cheat. She allowed him to cheat in peace. But now this is out in public, and it's embarrassing to her. I said, man, you gave up everything, and you allowed this man to cheat in your face for years. It's like, on one hand, I'm on your side, but then it's like, come on, let me keep rooting for you. But now you're going to beg him back? That is crazy. But she set out to get revenge. So anyways, Haley, they're going to have the wedding at the Dupree Country Club. And everybody's against it. Haley is ready to cancel because she doesn't want that type of backlash. Bill goes to Mr. Vernon and, in his own way, says that I need the family to be there at the wedding. And if you don't, I'm going to tell your secrets. That's not how he said it, but I'm just giving it to you that way. Vernon talks with Miss Anita about it, and they say, we got to protect Martin. So obviously Bill knows something about Martin. Back at Martin and Smitty's home, Smitty is talking about the dreams that Martin is having. Every time he's having these nightmares and he asks Martin what's going on, he never has any explanation. So obviously Martin did something and it was covered up. I think he unalived somebody, but we have to unpeel everything that's going on in the whole situation. Let's see. I'm trying to make sure I covered everything that happened this week before we get to the grand finale. I already talked about Derek. Vanessa is a realtor, and she's the one that gave the news of Bill coming into the neighborhood, and she sold the house. Anyway, she's going to have her own story. And it looks like she married her high school sweetheart, but at this point, they're in this loveless marriage. And it looks like she's frolicking, looking at other options. So we'll get into her story later on. Now, something happened in mid-season, because remember I was talking about this Dana person that was looking at Ted like that. What happened is that Nicole had this assistant, her name was Lauren. She was struck down. And we find out that it was Dana on this motorcycle that struck her down. Put her out of commission. She'll be okay. But now, Nicole needs a new assistant. Eva, her daughter, went to go and apply, and she got the position. And Nicole said, it's going to be temporary. And she said, cool, da-da-da-da-da. She goes back to Eva to let her know that her plan worked. We're finding out that something happened back in the day. And everything that Dana had went through, that this is not revenge, but everything that Eva was supposed to have. You need to be in the house with your father. So we're finding out that Ted has a daughter, whether he knows about it or not, because Ted is now being a little bit secretive. They're laying little subtle things, like there's some things that Ted is trying to cover up. So I don't know what Ted knows about this daughter, but we shall see. So the day of the wedding, the Dupree family does show up, but they showed up in all black. Danny was even in attendance because Vernon convinced her to come. But they always sacrifice her for someone else, and in particular, it was Martin to protect him. She shows up in a veil, black, and all that good stuff. So as the wedding starts, and the bride, you stand up for the bride, some of the men stood up. But then Anita said, sit down. And they all sat down. So when Haley was marching down the aisle, she looked like, of course, I don't know why you want to be there. So Haley has nobody to turn to, and she don't have no friends. She got somebody in the office. All these office people are cheering it on. Cool. So as the wedding is proceeding, and at the part of, does anyone object to this marriage? Danny says, me. She opens up her handbag and pulls out a pow pow. And then she gets up there where the husband and wife, Bill and Danny are at. And all we know is that it goes black and we hear a gunshot going on. I don't know who got hurt, shot, injured, unalived, but Danny's not playing no games. The soap is not playing any games, and I'm loving it. I'm committed to doing a weekly review. Since there's 5 episodes, I just can't come to you every day, especially with the other things I have going on. So I'm going to try to commit. More than likely, it's going to be on a Saturday. If not, then Sunday. Well, it will actually be out. So we're going to review. We can talk about it. Let me know all your thoughts. I do appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video, and you can subscribe. And you can leave all your comments, and we can just dialogue about this show, because I'm loving it. Congratulations to Miss Michelle Vagin, and also to the crew and to the cast. I'm ready to soar with you guys. So until next time, peace. Have a good day.